AI is a wider section. So in this session and throughout this training, I'm teaching you various aspects. That's why you saw even the syllabus looked expanded. We are not just talking about a segment. So as we continue interacting, you learn other new things, other more things. Things like web design. You've never developed a website. But is it necessary? It is necessary because what is your level? You are a researcher. How can we find you? Are you still submitting CVs in a normal and stupid way where you are just printing a copy and submitting? No. Nowadays we are talking about digitized CV. So all these, you need your website where you have a profile explaining about you. You are a researcher. You need to build a platform where people can be able to get your research, people can be able to get your guidance, people can be able to get your mentorship, people can be able to get your keynote speaking, people can be able to get some of the solutions that you have created and built over time. All these are things that you'll be able to learn as we proceed. Now, in today's session, I want us to focus on cloud computing. Cloud computing. Others will have to ask, what is cloud computing? What is this? How relevant is it to my area? Hmm? You're asking yourself many questions. So, key things first, cloud computing exists within us. And cloud computing tools, we use them every day. So, in simple terms, let me share my screen. Because some of the things I can just explain them without any references. But because of you, then I'll have to give something. So we're talking about cloud computing being a revolutionary technology that delivers computing services over the internet. The key goal is to ensure that we are eliminating the need for costly on-premises infrastructure, whereby somebody is charging you because of the store or a space that he has a, he has provided you to be able to store your data. Now, instead of having that physical store, we say that can you be able to store this data on a digitized space? So, sometimes you look at some myths and misconceptions and some funny clips, people talking about cloud. Now, that there existed a lady who was asked by his boss to go to the office and then requested the lady to open the window, and from the window to be able to tell whether they are seeing the clouds. And then, if you are seeing the clouds, have you seen the clouds? Then, can you publish those documents to the cloud so that we can be able to access from our end? And the lady went to the house, opened the window, and started watching the clouds and thinking that that is what the boss had said about. So, to avoid such cases, we need to have some knowledge of these things in a nutshell. So, cloud computing is delivery of computing services such as servers, storage, databases, networking, software, and analytics over the internet. That is what cloud computing is in short summary. Now, when you look at Google Cloud or OneDrive that you normally link your email with, that is a cloud. Like you get into your email here, then you go to your devices, then you open Google Drive. This Google Drive is a cloud because it provides you with storage, components, and space. Then you leave that space and then you start storing some information on what are called Dropbox. Dropbox, like this one, where you want to store your information or data for long period of time so that you can access them anytime and any day you wish, like this one. So you see, these are like maybe you have your folders, your files, and so on, and you want to connect with even various people. Then you need to use such kind of thing. So depending with the amount of storage you want, then it has some costs. But then you have some basic where you have some limited storage space that you are given for a free space there at around 10 GB or 15 GB for free. Just the way Gmail gives you what is the size of the storage. Like if you come here and then you go to storage, you see here it is 15 GB. 15 GB is the only space that Google has given you for all your emails and other things. So you can see my emails are covering 0.83 gigabytes, while Google Drive has 1.32 gigabytes. So when you add these two, then it's almost somewhere. So you can see only 2.3 GB of this, which is used, of 15 GB used. So that is what it's telling you. Uh, so we've only used 2.16 GB, meaning that I still have more storage. But when I run short of storage, what will happen here? Once I go short of that 15 GB, I'll be required to pay that amount of money, which is 110 per month. You now start paying every month. You can see here, every month you are paying 110 shillings for you to maintain more storage. So that is cloud. Other types of clouds, we can have what is called Azure, Microsoft Azure. That is Microsoft Azure. This is also a cloud. And this one we use them for deployment of large systems. This can be university portals, hotels. This can be bigger industry platforms. That's where they can be loaded. A server for a specific church or a community system can be uploaded here. Then we have others which are called Oracle Cloud. You saw the list of the richest people being launched the other day in the world, and you see all of them are tech giants. This Oracle Cloud is also another type of cloud. So when you are dealing with any system, you must be able to know that which area are they. So when you are talking about types of clouds and so on, we are talking about multi-cloud, we are talking about public cloud, We are talking about hybrid cloud and dedicated clouds. So all these are cloud infrastructure systems. So if you have heard about machine learning, AI, which we have already talked about, you can only host them in these large platforms. You have things like big data and data lakes. All this can be done only in these bigger cloud areas. You're talking about quantum computing, quantum computing, which are now the current one that are now running the development of the hardware components, including our smartphones and small devices like laptops. You see, nowadays the laptops are very small and very slim. You can even put it inside the pocket and go, or even inside the coat. Why? Because of quantum computing. The technology is now becoming higher so that you can even be able to develop something that is easy to move with. So all these things, applications such as those ones in the mobile apps, all of them can be loaded or can be run on the cloud. We have others like Google Cloud. These ones, when you have it there, you can be able to access them, load, and then deal with Kubernetes and the costs that are available on it. So all these are cloud computing spaces. So cloud computing is very, very, very important and very essential to our daily activities because we produce or we generate a lot of data every day. Every system generates data. This data needs to be stored somewhere safe for future retrieval. This data needs to be stored somewhere safe for future retrieval. I was just sharing something with my community. No, after the I was injured and then I got so many issues on the way. I had a burial again to bury somebody at home. So I went to bury my immediate father, and we saw several things happen as families. But then, as people who are knowledgeable within the community, it's not just about you and your success. It's about serving the community and solving the problems faced by the community. So I just told them that since things have been happening for long, and we are not going to use the same route and the same measures of handling things, I told them we are going to rebrand the family in a state whereby we are even going to build a digitized platform where we are going to store all the history and archived contents about the community and the clan. So that tomorrow, when we want to talk about Father Ekea, he was a priest. He served several people. We want to know about his history. We want to know about even his image. How can we be able to trace? Maybe we have reached to the 80th generation. How will they be able to trace? So we told them that we have to build platforms here that are going to be used to store data for the longest period of time so that every person's information will be stored there. And then we had to build what is called a website for the family. And that is it. You can be able to see on my screen. This is for a legacy to put every person inside. And it has a leadership council to put everybody there. And I'm the chair there. So there are things that we cannot be able to see every day happening because we found them like that. Then we continue following the way they are. Technology is here to help us resolve issues. So, cloud computing is there to help us Instead of using local computers or our local devices, cloud computing is there to help provide us with a space that we can easily connect with our devices, link with them, and then be able to push or store our data. Sometimes we have very large data. If you are talking about your computer alone or your phone alone, it will not be enough. For instance, every day you are maybe joining 5 groups of WhatsApp. In these groups, there are contents that are being shared, graphics, pictures, videos, audios, and all of them, you are downloading them. You are watching them. Before you watch, you must download them. Where are they being stored? They are being stored in our own devices. So when they are stored there, even your email, when I share with you content, it is still filling that space. By the time it reaches a certain point, you will start getting warnings from the email space that your storage is full and your device will not be able to work. Either your phone will go low of storage and therefore all the application stops working. You will need to delete them to free up space, or you look at your computer, it's completely full, it will start crashing, it will not be able to function the way it should be, and therefore there is a lot of what issues when it comes to storage. That's why cloud computing now came to be able to solve this matter. So in cloud computing, you access your own space, dedicated space, such like chat GPTs and so on. When they are loaded to the cloud. So they are not just loaded anywhere, they are loaded to the cloud. And therefore from there, they can now be able now to work very fast. So cloud computing in summary is a technology that enables users to access and store data, run applications, and use computing resources through the internet without managing the underlying physical infrastructure. Now, let's watch this and then be able to get some other few concepts on that. I hope Father is following us. Seems to be leading a lot.
What is cloud computing? So that is the topic of this video. Now you may have heard of people talking about the cloud, such as cloud computing or cloud storage, but you probably weren't sure exactly what it was. Well, the term cloud computing refers to data and applications being stored and run on the cloud rather than being stored and run on your local computer or on any equipment that you own. Then this data and the applications which are on the cloud are accessed through the internet. So the workload is no longer on your computer or on any equipment that you own. It's on the cloud. So what is the cloud? Now, to put it simple, the cloud is just a big building that's filled with computers. To be specific, it's a big building filled with servers. And servers are just computers that provide services on behalf of clients. Now, these buildings are very large, and well, they have to be, because when you take a look inside, it's a giant data center that contains servers as far as the eye can see. And these servers perform numerous tasks, such as running applications, storing data, data processing, web hosting, and so on. And they are also all networked together, and they can be accessed on the internet. So what is the purpose of a cloud? Well, the companies that own these clouds are called cloud providers, and their purpose is to sell their computers as a service. Now, a service is just something that you pay someone to do for you rather than doing the job yourself. So if a person or a company wanted to hire another company to do part or all of their computing workload, they would outsource it to a third party. In other words, they would use cloud computing. So back in the old days, before cloud computing, and as an example, we'll use email. So at your home or office, if you wanted to use email, you would have your own physical email server. So you would have a server, an operating system, and email software such as Microsoft Exchange. And then after some configuration, you would be able to use email. But the problem is that if anything goes wrong with the server, such as a hardware failure or a software problem, or if the operating system crashed, then you would be responsible for fixing the problem, not to mention any maintenance that is needed to keep the server up and running. However, you do have the option of eliminating all the hassle and upkeep of your own email server and have another company host all of your email on their servers in the cloud for you, such as Gmail, Hotmail, and a bunch of others. But email is just one example of cloud computing. There are also other services, such as productivity software, web servers, databases, and even YouTube. So yes, you as an individual can use YouTube as a cloud. So if you're a video creator, and instead of building and maintaining your own video server and software, and the extreme high cost of internet bandwidth that you would need for people to watch your videos from your server, you can bypass that and you can just upload your videos to YouTube and let YouTube handle everything for you. But instead of directly paying YouTube like a regular cloud provider, YouTube will get a share of the ad revenue generated by your videos. So another question is, why would an individual or a company use cloud computing? Well, as I just mentioned, a major reason is cost. With cloud computing, a person or a company eliminates a lot of the expense of buying their own hardware and software, along with the building, maintenance, and electricity it takes to run their own data center. So it would be more cost efficient to use a cloud instead. And another reason is reliability, because when you hire a cloud, the cloud provider is responsible for all of the data backup and disaster recovery. And if one of its data centers goes down, they will also have several redundant sites as a backup, which will ensure that there is no downtime. And another reason is scalability. Cloud providers will offer a pay-as-you-go method, where you can pay for only what you need. So whether you need to rent a few computers or a lot, it doesn't matter. So if you only want to rent a small amount of computers to start out, you can do that. But as your business expands, you have the option of instantly renting more computers to suit your needs. And if you don't need to rent as many computers, you can instantly scale back to renting only a few. So who are the cloud providers today? Well, the major cloud providers today are Amazon Web Services, or AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform, Alibaba, and IBM, with Amazon Web Services being the biggest of them all, taking about a third of the cloud market share. In fact, one of AWS's biggest customers is Netflix. Netflix uses Amazon Web Services for nearly all of its computer and storage needs, including databases, analytics, video transcoding, and so on. So instead of building its own data center and spending hundreds of millions of dollars on hosting its own data, Netflix chose to outsource it to a cloud provider, which is Amazon. So a major advantage that Netflix has of using a cloud is that they don't have to worry about downtime, security, data backup, or the high cost of building and maintaining their own data center. They can just pay Amazon to do it for them. So this takes a tremendous burden off of Netflix, which allows them to focus on other things pertaining to their business. Now, there are three different types of cloud computing. There's Infrastructure as a Service, or IaaS, Platform as a Service, or PaaS, and Software as a Service, or SaaS. And these three vary in control and flexibility, so it's up to the user to decide what suits their needs. So the first one is infrastructure as a service. Now, this type is basically where you're going to let the cloud provider manage a portion of your business, which is going to be the hardware portion. The cloud provider will manage the servers, storage, virtualization, and the networking portion. You, on the other hand, will still have control over the software portion, such as the applications, data, operating system, middleware, and runtime. Some examples of infrastructure as a service that the common person would use would be online data backup services, such as iDrive and Carbonite, that provide cloud storage. And the next one is called platform as a service. Now, PaaS, like IaaS, allows the cloud provider to manage a portion of your business, but the cloud provider has more control. In a PaaS, the cloud provider not only manages the hardware, such as servers, storage, and networking, but it also manages the operating system, middleware, and runtime. You, on the other hand, are only responsible for the applications and the data. And finally, there's software as a service, or SaaS. Now, this is probably the most common cloud service by far. In this type, all the applications are hosted by the cloud provider. There is no software to install on your computer and no hardware to manage. You just simply access and run the application from your computer when you connect to the cloud service through the internet. So the cloud provider manages all the hardware, software, networking, operating system, and storage. A good example of SaaS is something that I use all the time, which is Google Docs. Google Docs is a free online office suite that is accessed using a web browser. There is no additional software that needs to be installed on your computer to use Google Docs. Everything is accessed and managed from your web browser. So this concludes the video on cloud computing. Please subscribe and thank you for watching.
Now, you have understood the various sections of cloud computing. You have talked about the types, you've talked about the models, the examples, the applications, and the examples. So all these are within that area. You've also seen the importance of using cloud computing, talking about scalability, reliability, we're talking about the cost reduced, and ensuring that you continue being or running and serving or providing the services without being interrupted. So, current examples of cloud computing, we are talking about Google Drive and Dropbox, which I've already shown you. Uh, they are used for storage of small storage requirements, such as your WhatsApp is linked with your Gmail so that it can access your Google Drive. Um, your email is also linked with your Google Drive and all that. Then we have the Amazon Web Service. That is a leading computing services provider in the world, as you have seen in that. IBM servers, talking about Alibaba servers, we're talking about Microsoft Azure servers, because these are AI, big data, and cyber securities are all hosted there. For example, you're talking about Bing AI, you're talking about Copilot AI. All of them are being stored under Microsoft Azure. When it comes to chat GPTs and other devices, some are being hosted at Amazon Web Services and others in other architectural designs such as Oracle Cloud. You have IBM Cloud, which is AI and blockchain technology hub, where all such storage can be done. You've seen even in Zoom, when you open the Zoom, then you find that it tells you about it is linked with cloud so that it records the meeting, and then you are able to get a recorded content because it's completely linked with the cloud to be able to provide that. Mine is not that way. I'm using a very advanced tool to be able to record for you all this just to ensure that you get all the concepts right. Then we have Zoom and Microsoft Team for teleconferencing. Then we have Netflix and Spotify, which are cloud driven entertainments. And you've just heard about Netflix, where it's being hosted by Microsoft because it's owned by Microsoft. Why are they not using Microsoft Azure? But they trust the person called Amazon. Why? Because they wanted to run away from the costs related to that. Then we have Netflix and Spotify, which are cloud based, and so on. So, what are the advantages of using this cloud computing? We've talked about scalability, whereby we are saying only buy what you want, pay as you use. So, if you don't want to use maybe the HTTPS hosting area, then you can stop it. You don't select it and pay. You leave the rest untouched while you handle the others. Then we look at now cost effectiveness. Why? Because you are paying for what you want to use only, and also payments or charges that cloud computing are asking for are reasonable. They are not as cumbersome as buying the storage itself by yourself. It's very, very expensive. And there's accessibility. Why? Because they operate 24 hours. So there's no time you'll be able to find a cloud computing being offline unless it has crashed or something is being worked on or there's some maintenance scheduled. But under normal circumstances, you cannot be able to find that a cloud computing space has lost its possible functions. That one is not possible. Then you have collaboration. So you can be able to collaborate with cloud computing tools so fast. For instance, we've just talked about Google Documents. As a supervisor, gone are those days. Gone are those days when, as a supervisor, you are very busy asking for that. As a supervisor, gone are those days when you are still asking for your students to bring hard copy documents for review. You can review the student's project with you just on a Google Doc. They type from the other end, you correct from this end, and they continue working. But when you are still waiting for students to bring you a document that this is one, then you print it out, then you start reading it. The question is, how do you even check plagiarism now that your work is to mark hard copy, which has been printed or converted to a PDF? Hmm? Let's say that now we are using this, for instance, this one here, and then you are supposed to work on Google Doc. So you go up here, down here, and then you find a Google document. So these are Google documents. These are examples of cloud computing. You can see here how many researches have I done with people from various institutions and other areas. So how many documents have I reviewed for the government and other sectors, including TVETA? You're seeing them there. How many write-ups have we done with the Ministry of Education to provide solutions? They are all here. Mm. Quality Assurance and Standard Directorate for the implementation. And you see, we've been working on it and trying to do what to correct things and mess there, here and there. So we've done a lot, and therefore we can even be able to account and come back and review how many papers have we done. Like this one here is a paper on COVID-19 and sex and domestic gender response. This one we wrote it during COVID-19 time, and we built that. That's when we built a toll-free number to be able to help solve COVID-19 issues. So all these are things that we are talking about, because you can collaborate, you can create one here and then share with another friend or your colleague and then start working. In research, we don't like a case where somebody is only working alone, single handedly. We don't like. We like teamwork. And we'll always ask you, have you reviewed this paper with somebody else? So you have to click share here and then put there the emails of the person that you want to share with and then be able to share. Hmm? But you cannot just be there or take a link here and then send it to a friend or email them. They can be able to see it. But you want to work alone. That is very difficult at the moment. So cloud, these are the importance of having a cloud computing space. The other thing, and I want to give you an assignment. Can you come up with something? Like, I want you to write up something, uh, a certain research. I want 2 to 3 of you to collaborate, or even 4 of you to collaborate using Google Cloud, Google Doc, and then be able to share with each other and review it together. You can even have meetings inside here. You can see that directly. You can make comments or corrections for that document just here using comments, and then let the student or the supervisee be able to follow what you are guiding. But you impose a student, go and write this. You've not given the structure, you've not given the directives, you've not told how it should be done. Now, then when you get the bad thing, then you are complaining. Then you are not a supervisor who is conscious, who is willing to make your student learn more from you. You are a mean supervisor because you are waiting for things to be worse, for you to shout, for you to make noise, for you to judge them and try to trash what they have worked for. It's not right. So, as a supervisor in the future, let's try to see how we can be able to accommodate all how the work is being done. And therefore, cloud computing is the way to go. So, use this cloud computing to be able to do that. Disaster recovery and securities are very important things, because security is very high in cloud computing. You don't have to worry about your data. It's well secured and protected. What are the importance of various sectors to various sectors? So cloud computing is very important because it fosters deployment, reduced IT costs, and so on. That is at work. Then we look at it in research. It is where AI are stored, it's where machine learning are stored, it's where collaboration tools are being stored, whether they are Gmail, Google Drives, talking about Google Documents, and all those other tools, Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, and so on. They are all cloud based. Then you have teaching, online learning, virtual labs, and so on. They are all there. You have Christian work, online churches, sermon streaming, and all those storage of the church content, church service proceedings, and so on. All of that can be done through the cloud computing. Now, what are the data storage, safety, and privacy? Let's look at the data storage, safety, and privacy. Maybe just before the establishment of a data center, or a Google Cloud area, which we call now as data centers, they require large volume of power. That's why you saw the other day the president complaining, saying that we don't have enough stable power for us to run and establish strong data centers. For instance, SpaceX, owned by Elon Musk, is currently building a data center here in Kenya at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, just near there. They are building a data center there called iColo. There's a company there called iColo. So that is a subsidiary branch of SpaceX owned by Elon Musk, the South African half caste with the Canadian, who is a US, who has just been announced as the first trillionaire now in the world, the first person to get there. Um, they had some agreements, like you also look for the Savannah Silicon called Konza Technopolis that is established here in Kenya. It has a very wide data center that is serving the whole of Africa. Storage of things are there and so on. That's why you see Kenya, Nairobi being ranked as the tech hub, the third tech hub in the world after the Silicon Valley of the United States and another one data center in the that is serving Europe. Then the next one, a tech hub area, is Nairobi as a city full of tech. That means that we are not doing bad, but do we have the capacity of other infrastructure to support such? Therefore, we need to be able to guide, to tell, and continue pushing the government to establish all the requisite issues. Now, um, deployment models of data center, of cloud computing. We talk about public cloud, talk about private clouds, we talk about hybrid clouds, and we're talking about community clouds. Then we have service models, which we have talked about infrastructure as a service. Then we have platform as a service. And then we have software as a service. And then we have uh, also a hybrid factor as a service today, where you have combined maybe SaaS and infrastructure, and then they are able to run together. So when we look at the data storage here, data storage is more secure and scalable in this Amazon Services 3, Google Cloud Storage, and all these areas. Then we have a safety, which is there is encryption and backup and redundancy of such. So we have also compliance with the general data protection rights or Google data protection rights across the world. And then we have the HIPAA rules, the Health Information Protection Access and Evaluation policies that cuts across the health issues. Then those are the key storage and safety and privacy policies that we have. Then let's look at the application of cloud computing. We've talked about they are used in data storage and backups. They are used in web hosting. So if you want to host a website, to host an application like a mobile app and so on, all of them must be stored on a cloud computing space. When you're talking about education and e-learning, you're talking about healthcare, business collaboration, and big data analytics. And then we have artificial intelligence and machine learning. All these things, data center recoveries and so on, all these are used within the cloud computing area. Now, when you look at now the real world examples of of cloud computing, you're talking about healthcare, talk about patient records storage, talking about finance, where we are talking about fraud detections and trading, talking about e-commerce, where there is handling of traffic, customer data, and many other components. And then we also talk about education, learning management systems for learners, Odell systems for learners, and all that. Then we have government secure citizen services such as e-citizen and all other government parastatal systems that are used to protect the government data or provide services to the people. Then we have cloud computing in daily duties. How is cloud computing helping you? And where is it helping you in our today's life? So cloud computing helps professionals in performing of remote access and project management. So you might have your projects. You want to store them online or digital space, such as Slack, talking about GitHub, talking about other cloud computing project or cloud computed, even QuickBooks or any other project, financial or whatever, and you want to share them. Even Sage nowadays uses what is called the Sage Cloud Computing. They have left the desktop applications and so on. So these are very, very powerful tools that can be able to be accessed through the remote section. And then we also have personal use, cloud storage, AI assistants. Talking about AI assistants such as Siri, Google Assistants, and so on. Then we have researchers. Cortana also on your computer is also another example of AI assistant. Researchers and academicians, where you're doing data analysis, collaboration and simulations, and all that, you need cloud computing. And now, before the conclusion, you're talking about um, just cloud computing being a very powerful tool that you need it in your daily activities, whether it is in business, whether it is in academia, whether it is in all the levels. So, as I conclude this lecture and discussion today, we're talking about cloud computing being able to enhance productivity. It is able to help you increase your outcome as the cost for storage is reduced completely. Instead of you storing your data inside your computer and your phone, where they are prone to threats, some of them are threats, human threats. Somebody just comes, he deletes your files, and you are not there. By the time you come back, you find things have been gone, things have been deleted. How do you start? You are supposed to present tomorrow. The child has come, she has accidentally or it has accidentally clicked the folder and it has been deleted. And it is the one that has the content that you wanted to present tomorrow to your boss. How will you handle that? So it's good to have cloud computing and collaboration. You can collaborate with them. They can be accessed digitally 24 hours without being tired. All that. Then you have its application continues to grow across various fields. So you can see you are getting infrastructure as a service, you are getting a software as a service, and you are getting also what are called platform as a service. And all these are things that touches all fields of the world, whether you are in education, whether you are in research, whether you are in engineering, all these are covered. So therefore, it's very, very important for us to know about cloud computing knowledge. So in discussion, how has cloud computing impacted your personal and professional life? How has cloud computing impacted your personal and professional life? As you have studied and known what are cloud computing. Then we're talking about what are some of security concerns associated with cloud computing. And then we are talking about, can cloud computing fully replace traditional IT infrastructure? Yes, completely and absolutely. Very fast. And it has already done that. So we need to move with speed. How can businesses in developing countries benefit from cloud computing? Now, as a small business and you are linked to cloud computing, you are reducing the cost of storage, you are getting scalability, you are getting good security, you're getting so much from it. You also have an additional functionalities on that. So for further readings, you can look at AWS, Amazon Web Services. You just search for such um, platforms. For instance, we go to AWS, then you search, then you get that one there, Amazon Web Services. So whether you are selling books through Amazon Books online, like this, for shopping books are dedicated, because after you've written a book and you want to sell it there, it's there. So all these are able to be loaded here. Why? Because it's a cloud computing space. And you see, when you start from 1 month, they give you $20 free credit to use. Then after that, you can now start now paying. You only pay for what you want to use or for what you use. If you don't use it, then you don't have to pay for it. Stop it. But if you want to use to pay for it, to use it, you must be able to pay something on it. So these are the benefits that you get. Free plan, and there is a paid plan there. Here you have limited to select services, but here you have unlimited way. No changes in card unless you upgrade, while here you can do any changes and modification. Not eligible for promotional credits, but here it's eligible. So those are the two types. So maybe you are using Amazon e-commerce 2, Amazon as a service 3, or Amazon Aurora, or Amazon RDS, that is relational databases, or Amazon Transform, that services to accelerate the transformation of Windows mainframe and VMwares. You have Amazon Dynamo, which is for serverless and no SQL. Then we have Amazon Bedrock Agent Core. This is for AI and deployments and machine learning. Then you have Amazon Bedrock. That is the easiest way to build a scale general AIs. And many more you can see there. You have so many. Amazon SageMaker AI, Amazon Lambda, Amazon Workspace, security and incident response, Amazon AI API gateways, Amazon managed Grafana, and so on. So there are a lot and huge services. You can see here even with books, and you get any book that you want. When you come to other products, here they are. The way they are always sold through Jumia or Alibaba or whatever. So this is Amazon doing that. That's why it's written A to Z, because they sell everything in the global market. So you see they have a dedicated one for books alone and so on. So it's easier also to manage and work with it. Now, that marks the end of my discussion for today. And then tomorrow now we can be able to look at Google uh, Google Clouds, and then be able to interact with it and see how you can be able to protect your data, store your data, and how you can be able to free up some space for you to use it very well. So thank you so much. Unless you have a question for me to respond to, I would wish to end my discussion there so that you can be able to go, plan, interact with these Amazon tools, and then be able to uh, meet with me the next time when you have the concepts of all this. Try interacting with yourself with the Google Doc, share with friend, try to write up something, maybe even for a conference or for a webinar, and try to collaborate and see how are you able to use them. So unless I have a question, if there is none, then I beg to stop there so that I can take a rest. Any question up to there? There being no question, I would wish to end there. Let's see you tomorrow. Have a blessed night.
Thank you.